welcome back to day two. On today's menu, we are going to be making an Asian-style cabbage and noodles. Let's get started. So first order of business, I'm just going to be prepping all my ingredients. So I'm just going to be cutting up my cabbage, my garlic, and my onions, and I'll be right back. Now that we got everything nice and cut up, I just cut up the cabbage, the green onions, and the big onion, and then I minced up the garlic. So now we're just going to go over to the stove top, and I just put my hair up because I don't want to catch on fire.
It's an electric stove.
So over here at the stove top, we're just gonna have a pot with some boiling water in it for some noodles, and then you have your pan for like kind of the stir fry of the cabbage, like onions and the garlic. So first, what we're first gonna do is we're just gonna add our noodles into the pot and stuff. So then while that's going, we'll be able to work on our things. We're probably just gonna let this separate for probably just like 1 minute, then start working it around and stuff. Making sure all the noodles are separated and all good to go. So we're just going to put those in, just wait a little bit and stuff. So while that is going, we're just going to be working over here. So right now, because mine's an electric stove, I kind of have the temp just at like 5 or 6 right now for heat. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to add some of the vegetable oil, just a little bit onto the pan. That was not little. And so then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be starting to add like the garlic and the onions. And so what I also got was ginger. So with the ginger, I just bought it minced just to make it a little bit easier and stuff. You can get your own ginger, you can do it your own way and stuff, but just to be a little bit quicker, I just bought some minced garlic. So we're just going to add these all into the pan. Be very careful, it's going to sizzle a little bit. That is all good. Alright, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of like garlic as well. I do really like garlic, so I might just add a little bit more to mine. You can add as much as you want to any of your things. Make it you, make it fun, be like excited about it. And then what I'm also going to do is just add some red pepper flakes. The more you have it into the oil and stuff, the more like spicier it will get it and stuff. And I always like some good spicy, so I'm definitely gonna add some. Ooh, it's attacking. Where's my stuff? So I'm just gonna start mixing this around a little bit. Just be very careful. It's gonna start like spreading a little bit, so just kind of be careful with like your hands and stuff. But it's all right. Just gonna mix it around.
How many minutes do you have to cook that for?
So this one you're just going to mix around just for a few seconds. You just kind of want the onions to get like a little bit more clear with it. So the onions that I used were, it was the bigger half and stuff. That way we can cook those later. Don't add your green onions now. Add those later and stuff because that's kind of like your final finish that you're going to be adding. So like I said, like because I'm using an electric stove, mine can be like a little bit more dramatic than maybe some of others. So that's why I'm just kind of moving mine around and stuff. I'm just kind of moving it. And this is my first time doing this, so if it looks bad, like, I'm sorry. That's why I'm kind of not used to it spraying around and stuff. So after just kind of mixing it a little bit more, I'm going to add a little bit more pepper flakes to it. Alright, and then I'm going to mix it just like maybe for like just a few more minutes. Oh, it already smells really good. So kind of just getting mine a little bit more caramelized for my onions and stuff. So you can do it with whatever onions you like. The one recipe I was reading off of, they had a red onion. I just used the white onions because I like a little bit more sweeter ones with like kind of like this like kind of style of cooking. I always just enjoyed it. So now that we got these like a little bit more, I'm going to start adding my cabbage. So I'm just going to sprinkle it as we go and stuff. That way it just doesn't get as crazy. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit and stuff. And see our noodles also, if you can see over there and stuff, they're getting to work too. I'm going to also start working on those, mixing those around. So I'm just going to be adding little by time. That way they can just kind of shorten out and stuff. So I made mine a little bit bigger. I like having a little bit of bigger kind of style with my cabbage and stuff. I really like cabbage. So I like having mine nice and big.
When do we add the ginger in?
I added mine a bit sooner, but I think as I'm going to go, I'm also going to add just like a little bit more to it. But so now while that's kind of going for a little bit, I'm going to be continuing stirring. But also now I'm going to start working over here with my noodles. You can kind of see they're starting to separate a little bit more and stuff. So as those are going, I'm going to also just start mixing these around and stuff and get those started to get separated. These ones that I'm using, they're a little bit thicker, so they're going to take a little bit more to get separated, but they're going really good right now. So back here more with the onions. You want to consistently like keep kind of stirring with them. Kind of make them, you want them kind of soft and stuff. You can go for around like 4 to 5 minutes is kind of like you're kind of maxing out and stuff. So keep stirring and stuff. Add a little bit more cabbage if you'd like. I'm just going to add like a little bit more to mine. Like I said, I really like cabbage. So I'm just going to keep like mixing around and stuff. Just keep sauteing. Now you can see it's not really shooting out as much. I kind of have like little slats on it. This is definitely one of my first times. I'm not very good at the stovetop, but this smells really good. I really like this dish. It's like kind of like a little fun, like little dish. It was more of a challenge with me. So my first one, when I made the sandwich, it was very like a simple kind of easy sandwich. I didn't have to do too much with it. So the next one I wanted to do, I wanted to have a little bit more of a challenge. So this one helps a lot. Using like the stovetop and stuff, like cutting like different like items and stuff, like using different onions. It was very cool. It was definitely a different challenge. So I'm just going to keep mixing and stuff. And I'm also just going to just keep moving around with my noodles as well. See how these ones are much better, getting more separated. This one's still working a little bit more, but we're starting to separate the noodles much more. So we're just going to keep moving around. You just kind of keep moving back and forth and stuff. And then probably soon we're going to start adding like our vinegar, our like sesame oil. And we're probably going to add, I'm looking at what else. Oh yes, and then our sweet and chili sauce. So we're going to start adding up those soon. Just continue to kind of keep mixing. We'll slowly start adding those very soon. Trying to add just a little bit more of the garlic that I missed out on. Always never enough garlic. So this is turning out really well and stuff. So soon I'm just going to probably get these noodles almost done. And then I'll probably be able to start adding the other stuff into it. All right. This is crazy. I am not. Thank you. All right. So now I'm just going to kind of separate those just like a little bit more, make it a big chunk. You can use any different kind of like noodles and stuff. I've seen like people use like rice noodles. I've seen people use like instant ramen noodles like I'm using. You can use any kind of noodles that you like. Whatever like feels right with you and stuff. You can do whatever you'd like. I just decided to do these instant noodle ones because we just bought them and they're very good. It's just nice one to just have like for an after school snack. All right. So just kind of continue just kind of separating them. This is like a good consistency. All right. And then I'm going to go just come back and check up on my cabbage. Continue just mixing around. You always just want to keep mixing the stuff around. That way it just doesn't sit still for too long. It kind of gets stuck to the pan. You can even sometimes just give it a try and see it the way you like. You can make the cabbage however way you like. I like mine with like a bit more softer kind of crunch. So you can kind of just see like mine is starting to get to that really nice consistency. Trying to grab it. Kind of like that. That's good. So mine's now nice and soft, but it still has like a little bit of crunch to it. So for right now, this is going to be a good time for me to start adding all my ingredients. So what I'm going to add is, you can use either one you like. You can either do white vinegar or you can do rice wine vinegar. I'm going to do rice wine. I'm going to add some sesame oil, and then I'm going to also add my chili sauce.
Is rice wine a little sweeter?
It is a little bit sweeter, which is like what I like with this kind of meal, with also using the sweet and chili sauce. So I would recommend trying it with like the rice wine vinegar. It's always just a nice little experience to kind of get. I'm going to kind of get it around and stuff, just mix it around a little bit. Start adding the rice wine. Just adding a little bit of it and stuff. Just be careful how much you would like to add. I like mine like a little bit more kind of sweet, kind of tart. So I'm adding just kind of like that certain amount. All right. All right. And then as you're going, you can also just change it however you'd like and stuff. Like maybe I added maybe a little bit too much of the chili oil, and maybe I want more like vinegar. You can add it as you're going and stuff. It doesn't have to be perfect the second you put it into the pan. Nothing just turns out kind of that way and stuff. And that's okay. Like cooking is just like a fun experience. You just got to test it and try it out. It's all just trial and error as you go. So I'm going to just keep continuing to mix that up. Moving it just all around with all my ingredients. And as we're going, we're just going to let this sit for 1 second. And let's go back into our noodles. These are turning out to be a great consistency. So now we're actually going to go and strain them. I have just my little strainer stuff. You can get a big or small one, however you'd like. Just turn it up. Be very careful, very hot. You're just going to add it in right there. Just let it strain out a little bit. You can put this kind of back over there. We're just going to let this sit for a little bit as we get back into adding more of our ingredients. So now more stuff is kind of like sitting. It's kind of getting more into like the onions and the cabbage. So now you can also kind of get a start of like trying it. And if you want to, like if you think it's kind of getting too hot, you can always just turn it down and stuff as we go. See how my onions now are a little bit more brown, nice and caramelized. This is how I like my onions. So let's mix this around and we can give it a try. Kind of just see how it is, see what you like and what you want to add. That's really good. All right, so now as this is going, now we can finally add the green onions. So like I said, add these kind of at the end and stuff. This is kind of like that finisher. So what you're going to do is kind of just like sprinkle the amount that you'd like. Just start adding those in. Just sprinkling them. I like having more of the like kind of white pieces a little bit more because they're a little bit more like kind of sour. But you can do as much as you want. And then as well, we are also going to add our sesame seeds and our soy sauce. So just kind of sprinkle as much as you want. I really like having some sesame seeds, so I'm going to add as much as I want to this one. And then we're just going to add a little bit of soy sauce.
Soy sauce, is that where you get all the saltiness from?
Yes, so this is going to be more your saltiness. So that's why I decided to pick like a rice wine vinegar that's like a little bit like sweeter. That way that it's not too salty and it doesn't like kind of get that like gross kind of feel with you in your mouth. So now just keep mixing and stuff. Just kind of mix it all around. You want to make sure like the onions, the green onions are all getting mixed in, getting more into that flavor. They're also going to add that kind of more sourness to it. So just kind of keep mixing as you go. And then kind of doing their taste test so you feel like, see if maybe if you added too much soy sauce, do you want to add something else? So I'm going to grab this one. It's really good. So kind of what it tastes like, you're definitely going to taste like a lot of that kind of soy sauce. I added a little bit lot to mine. You can always add just like a little bit less. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit more vinegar to mine. Just add like a little bit more, not too much. Just kind of mix it around, and then we'll be able to add our noodles very soon. All right, now that that's all mixed up, kind of just lower this just a little bit, and we're going to add our noodles. So we kind of just get them over here. They're nice and strained from the water now. We're just going to slowly just add these like little go. All right. Now just continue, just kind of keep mixing. You kind of want to get it all around and stuff. Keep this mixing. Try to get all the stuff kind of mixed in together now. Start like lifting up. Make sure that you're also still kind of spreading out the noodles and stuff so they're not all jammed together. Kind of just start mixing it all together and stuff. And also with the frying pan, it's going to also make the noodles just a little bit more crispy, which is really good. All right. So just kind of continue mixing. You just want to make sure all the noodles kind of get all that kind of sauce that you added in, like the soy sauce, the vinegar, the sesame oil and stuff, just to finally like kind of top it all off. So right now I'm just trying to get all the like ends in and stuff, like my onions and my garlic. I'm just trying to mix those all together to make sure it's all blended up together. This meal is super good. It's super nice to kind of have like on a dark rainy day. Today our like weather was like storm and all crazy and stuff. So this is just a nice little meal to just kind of have just before kind of having like that just dark little gloomy day. So here's like a good example of what my onions are starting to look like. So they're more crispy now, getting that nice like little color. And now they're going to be softer. I like having my green onions just softer and stuff. And I think we are all good to go. Let's give it a little taste test. These are very good. Nice and soft. You can definitely taste like the vinegar and the wine. The garlic gives it that nice like kind of feel to it. And of course like the onions always just bring it together. So now we're just going to kind of, I'm going to put those together. Now we're just going to plate this. So I'm just going to set these down. To plate them, I would recommend just kind of using a bigger tongs. I'm not going to use any chopsticks because I want to make sure I get as much as possible of what I want. So just kind of add it as much as you'd like. Add all the cabbage that you'd like. I'm taking all the bigger chunks because I wanted the bigger chunks. Kind of put it all together.
Use some of the green onions to garnish at the end.
Oh yeah. So we're going to come back over here just real quick. So I have my green onions and sesame seeds. So what I'm just going to do to get that final little garnish is just kind of sprinkle some at the top. Get my sesame seeds. Get that one little final sprinkle. And you are all good to go. Let's get a taste test. I'm going to get one first with like the cabbage. Ooh. They're very good. Still nice and crunchy. Just the way I kind of like it. Would recommend just soaking them just a little bit more. I kind of add a little less kind of sauce because I was making a smaller portion. But still very good. I really liked it. Now I'm just going to try the noodles. Very soft, very good. The noodles are nice and soft, so it helps with getting that crunch of the cabbage and then the softness of the noodles. You want to give it a try?
Delicious.
Awesome. How would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10?
Today I will give this one an 8.3.
Nice. 8.3 is very good. For my first try on the stovetop, definitely had some casualties if you can kind of see it. But super fun recipe. I really enjoyed it. Definitely will make it more in the future. All right. we are all good to go. Thank you so much for being on day 2 of the 30-day challenge. Make sure when you're done, clean up all your stuff, and then have a great night. Bye!